Welcome to Her Story, the podcast where we share the real, behind-the-scenes journeys of founders who are shaping our Space Coast and Treasure Coast communities.
This show is about the stories that don't always make it to social media, the turning points, the risks, the lessons learned, and the moments that quietly change everything.
We sit down with founders and small business leaders to talk about where they started, what they've overcome, and what it truly takes to build something meaningful.
Her Story is produced in partnership with We Venture Women's Business Center. It elevates small businesses and inspires the next generation of entrepreneurs to pursue their ideas with confidence.
You do not have to build alone. There's an entire community ready to help take your ideas from vision to reality.
Whether you're a business owner or a dreamer in the early stages, or someone who loves supporting small businesses, this show is for you.
This is Her Story. Colleen, welcome to the Her Story podcast. We are so excited to have you here. Can you tell our guests a little about you, who you are, and what you do?
My name is Colleen Arambula. I'm the owner of DC Roofing and DC Marine Construction. We've been open for about a decade. We service Brevard County, Indian River County, and the surrounding areas. We specialize in metal, tile, shingle, and flat TPO roofs. We also do docks and seawalls.
Wow, a little bit of everything then.
Yeah.
And just over a decade?
Yes, so we've been open since 2015. Before that, I was a Brevard public school teacher for 15 years.
Wow.
What'd you teach?
I taught sports medicine in the sports academy at Heritage High School, and then I also taught PE at Space Coast Junior Senior High for 10 years.
Oh, neat.
So teaching and then roofing.
Yeah, they're a little different.
It's a little jump, yeah.
Yes.
How did that happen?
So I started teaching. My mom was actually an educator. She was a principal for Indian Atlantic Elementary. She retired from Indian Atlantic Elementary, but she had been in Brevard County as a principal at various elementary schools for many, many years. And so I always kind of wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I went to UF, and when I was in school, I was trying a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I had taken a teaching PE class, middle school PE as an elective. And I called my mom crying that day because I realized I wanted to be a teacher. And I was going to be poor for the rest of my life.
That's why you were crying?
Yes.
Because you knew your reality?
Yes. Because I loved it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be a teacher. Like, oh no. And so she told me, Colleen, it's going to be okay. You'll be great. Because I always thought, oh, I don't want to be a teacher, you know. And I couldn't find something that I loved. And I ended up being a teacher. So I was a teacher for 15 years, and I was getting my master's, and I had planned on staying in teaching. I was going into educational leadership, and I had just recently gotten married, and my husband has always been a roofer, and he had a roofing company, and he would call me and need help, and I would tell him I didn't have time. I had a career. You know, that I was busy. And then
what kind of help was he looking for?
Paperwork, you know,
stuff.
So we had a hurricane, and you know, our name was starting to get out there, and we were starting to get pretty busy. And my husband was a very good roofer, but you know, the paperwork side was not his forte. So I was finding myself helping him and in my planning period in the classroom, and I'm trying to pull permits. So I'm trying to, you know, do everything, and it just got to a point to where it wasn't working, and we wanted to start a family, and so we had made the decision to, you know, start DC Roofing, which is David and Colleen. That's our name.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Gosh, I can explain that.
Yeah, so that's how we came up with the name. So it's David and Colleen, and we started our company, and it was also so that we could start a family. I knew at a very young age that I was going to have to do IVF and possible surrogacy.
Like how young did they tell you this?
At 15.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had my uterus removed at 15, and so I was well aware, you know, that I was going to have to find alternate means. And again, I was a teacher, so I was a little bit concerned. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to afford, what I need to start a family. And so, I started to focus on IVF and the surrogacy journey. So I left teaching, which was pretty scary,
Yeah,
but
I bet.
You were happy in your career, your teaching career?
I was happy. When you're 15 years in, you have to make a decision. Do I want to do another 15 years? I coached as well. So I was at work, 7 in the morning till 7 at night.
Those
And
are
so
long days.
That's intense.
Yeah.
really, really long days. And I loved what I did. I loved the interaction with the students, the connections that I was making. And I was really more of a counselor, if anything. I really took to my students and cared about my students and loved that part of it.
Yeah.
I think the repetitiveness of it wore on me a little bit, and I like change, and so it was nice then when I started roofing. I thought at first, oh, I'm going to have all this extra time. I'm just going to help him a little bit. I'm going to do whatever I want. And that has not been the case at all. I'm definitely type A, workaholic. And so I did exactly what I did in teaching, and I just did that in the business,
Times 100.
Yeah.
Now it's your own
Took it
business.
over, organized it all.
Yep. Got a little shop. We were working from home. We got a little shop. And started from there, really, And
Just the two of you.
Just the two of us. Yep. I had my little whiteboards, and so I brought some of the teacher with me.
Yeah, you can't help but do that.
Started teaching adults, grown men how to behave, and became their counselor. Talk with them
So you
about.
never left teaching.
Yep. It's just it looks different these days,
Yeah.
And each day is a new day, and I never quite know what it's going to bring, which I like. Is are we going to chase a storm, or what's going to happen today? I just don't know. So
What are the roles today compared to what they were when you first jumped into the business?
So when I first jumped into the business, it was really kind of just like learning the business. The very first thing I did was I got my roofing license, which is kind of unique for women.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah, so both me and my husband hold a roofing license, which is nice. It helped me to kind of learn the business, but the best teacher has been my husband. I really have learned from the best. He has taught me so much, and just by listening to him and following him and going on jobs with him, I automatically just know. I can look at a picture and see what the problem is, and instantly be like, oh, that's the AC leaking. That's not a roof leak, But that's a lot of it is because of my husband has taught me,
Yeah.
So, and a lot of it is just experience. So in the beginning, I was, just trying to organize the business. Like I said, we were in the middle of a hurricane, and we were kind of coming at the end of it. So we were finishing up the jobs and trying to get things. I'm kind of old school, so everything was pen to paper still, We weren't really on the computer too much yet. And so I was, got my filing cabinets and did all that, got everything organized. And today it looks really different. It's very, very different. We've grown a lot. And my role is more of like a manager, I would say a project manager. I pretty much help run the crews, make sure everybody's doing what they say, but I have a lot more people under me, to where I don't have to oversee it.
Are you the one putting the teams together then? Hiring
So pretty much we say, my husband's the problem solver. If there's a problem and none of us can fix it, we pull him in because he can solve it. And if it's anything like on the roof, we get my husband. Anything else, paperwork, anything, with the crews and stuff like that, and the managing, I pretty much take over. And I do a lot of the marketing. I have teams that help me with it, but pretty early on, I kind of took that under my wing and learned about, I'm not a marketing major, but learned about what works and what I need to do to market and brand my company, which I think has helped us tremendously grow because the competitive nature in Brevard County, just roofers alone, they're everywhere you turn.
You and your husband started working together.
Yes.
How was that dynamic, and how was that different as you guys prepared to then start your own family?
So there's been a lot of times where, we would butt heads, and then a lot of times like, hey, this is working. The one thing about me and my husband is that we're very different. And so the things he's good at, I'm not. And the things I'm good at, he's not.
Oh, that's nice. You
And
complement each other.
Yeah, we complement each other really well. And we're both alphas, so that kind of
That's
sometimes,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, that can
Yeah.
kind of, be a struggle. But we also respect each other so that, we don't question each other, but we ask each other's advice. We may have different opinions, but we take both of those opinions into consideration when we're making a decision. But it's been actually really nice because I don't feel alone.
Yeah.
I have somebody with me. I don't have to carry all the weight on my shoulders. We get to share it.
You get to spend more time together now too.
Yeah,
right?
sometimes too much, but yeah. I love my husband. He's great, but and we have different hobbies, so that helps us. Yeah.
Yeah, because how do you not, whenever you're together, talk about business?
That's tough. That's real tough.
It
And
kind of flows into everything.
and I have found myself, there's a couple different rules that I've started because I'm the one that would, talk about business all the time, check my 5 emails. And finally it was just too much. And he's like, Colleen, you're ruining my Sunday, And so I tried
you really
to
jumped in and
yeah,
got into it.
I don't have a medium speed. I just know go, And so what I did is I try not to bring him stuff on the weekends, or I prep him ahead of time.
Yeah.
Hey, honey, I've got this, but I'm not going to bring it to you. Or do you want to see it now or later? If it's not an emergency. And then at dinner, I turn my phone upside down and I put it away because I was finding myself, and on my phone. And my husband is the cook in the family, so it's important to him. The dinner part and preparing.
That just acknowledges his hard work.
Yes, yes. So, and that has helped a lot, And now that we have children, we don't, that's our family time. And so in establishing those boundaries, I think has helped us in our relationship in general, And sometimes, I know he's, he needs an hour in the morning. So I don't, unless it's an emergency, of course, I let him have his coffee and stuff. And I'm running, so he won't bother me when I'm running. So we've learned each other and when is a good time and when to table it, so.
It sounds like you've really been able to set it up so that you're able to prioritize this family time and build that space for your children so you can be the ones that take them to school. How important has that been for both of you?
It is really important. It's tough being a business owner, and especially as a woman and a mom and the caretaker, you want to do it all, And so it's hard, and if I was teaching, there's no way I would have been able to do that. My kid would have had to have been in aftercare and go early. And so it's important to me, to be able to take him to school and to have that routine, And
How old are the kids?
So my son he'll be 6 in January, and my daughter turned 7 months today.
So little.
Yes.
Oh, so cute.
So precious.
You're doing it all over again.
Yes.
Is it different this time around?
Yes, and I'm 46 because both of them were born via surrogate. So it's a little later in life, which I'm much more mature, but physically is a little tougher, I'm a little more tired.
The diaper changes and feeds in the middle of the night.
I think I'm crazy. My friends are becoming grandparents and I'm a mom again, but
I get that. We're older parents too, so it's we're the oldest ones at the birthday party.
Yes.
But it's okay.
I just have to stay young looking,
Yes.
Fantastic.
You look amazing.
But I wouldn't have it any other way, and I'm so grateful to be able, my business has allowed me to be able to even take my son. If I pick my son up from school, I'll bring him to the shop. He loves coming to the shop.
Oh, that's
you know?
so great.
So
You
it's
don't
like,
have to ask for permission.
You're right,
You don't have
exactly.
To tell the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's really nice, just to be your own boss. I mean, you are on 24/7, but at the same time, you get the flexibility that you normally wouldn't have. You
Such
know?
a give and take.
Yeah.
Pros and cons for sure.
If you can handle the stress, it's
Yeah.
worth it.
So what are some of the toughest challenges or toughest lessons that you've had to learn being the boss?
Oh man, there's so many of them. One of the toughest ones we talked about was when I decided to leave teaching. I was terrified that I was going to make a mistake, and
how long of
after-
a process was that for you to finally get to that answer? Like, yep, I'm going to do this.
I would say it took me about a year.
Okay.
Yeah, and then finally, once a school year, and then by about maybe February or so, I think I had made my decision, and I finished out the year, and then I decided not to go back. And we had been, pretty busy, and I had started IVF already, so I was in the process. I had done some egg retrieval, and so I knew that we were on the road to surrogacy. I had found a surrogate, but we weren't pregnant yet. So I knew that once that happened, it was going to be a lot of traveling. My surrogate lived in Tallahassee.
Oh, wow.
My IVF was in Jacksonville.
Oh my goodness.
So it was like, as a teacher, like, you don't want to leave your classroom that much, you know? So, and my husband could really use the help. So I had made that decision. And then, so that was in May. And then August came, and that was another really tough time. I was like, oh my gosh, did I make a mistake? Because we were very slow. It was really slow. And I was like, uh-oh, I'm not sure if this was the right thing to do. And then the hurricane, I think it was Hurricane Michael, came and hit Panama City. And
what year was this?
2018?
Okay.
Maybe 2017. 2017, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it was 2017. And yeah, I'm doing the math of when my son was born. Yes, it was 2017. So, and I was like, you know what, Dave? I was like, why don't we travel? I don't have to work anymore. So we took our dogs, and we moved for 6 months, and we did hurricane work.
Where did you get this idea from? Was this something that was already being done in the industry?
Well, no.
This sounds like revolutionary.
It was, we're slow, and I want a child, so let's go where the work is,
Crazy.
So,
seriously, Colleen? Like, did you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, I'm gonna talk to
We
Dave
were
about
watching
this
the
tomorrow.
weather. We were watching the weather, and I was like, I looked at him. I said, why can't we go? Like, I don't have to work, because before my husband would never leave me. Like, he wouldn't leave. He likes to stick close, and But if I'm with him, I knew he would go. He's like, we could do that. So that's what we did. We actually went to North Carolina first, and then we went to Panama City Beach, and then we like scouted the area, and then we got about 10 jobs or so, and then we got our crews, and we brought everyone there, and off to work we went.
How did you get the jobs?
Looking for a dreamy beachfront venue?
Harbor House in Indian Harbor Beach is Florida's premier private oceanfront venue for weddings and special events.
Nestled directly on the sand with all-inclusive packages, warm family-style service, and luxury amenities.
Harbor House makes beachside celebrations effortless and unforgettable.
Just pure grit. I mean, it was
Door
hard
knocking,
work.
walking,
Yes,
where the roofs were
and
damaged.
like you could do different lead sources and stuff. When we got there, and I had the permits ready, and I went to the county, they said I was the very first roofer to pull permits.
Wow.
I was motivated. Like I said, I wanted a family, and I knew
You're very driven.
this is the only way I was going to be
amazing.
able
See,
to
I
afford
love
it.
this. Like,
so.
women are so scrappy and resourceful, and we make it happen by whatever means. We figure it out.
Yeah. So it was crazy. it was like a war zone. It was very sad. It was really sad, the devastation that was there.
Yeah, they got hit so hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it really was a blessing that you guys were able to go help repair the homes.
Yeah.
And it was also a means to, carry your business through that season. And then so eventually you made it back.
Yeah, so my surrogate was an hour away. So we had tried a few transfers. Right after we got back, she was pregnant, which is why I was doing the math in my head. Yeah, so then we got pregnant, and then when we got back, we had a hailstorm here.
I remember
Yeah, so that was the mini one, and then we had another one a couple years ago. So pretty much I haven't had to travel since then, but when you got to do what you got to do, you got to figure it out, So
Did other roofers copy that idea?
There was a few that were from this local area that we saw there, but a lot of people, it's hard to move your whole operation and then still be able to work here too if you need to,
Sure.
Yeah.
But I would do it again in a heartbeat, I now have 2 children, so I'm not as motivated.
More
but
complicated now.
You got your children, and that was part of
they're
the
in
initial.
school.
Yeah.
I would hate to, move them, but it was necessary at the time,
And it worked. How cool is that? Is that this wild idea actually worked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very blessed. And a lot of that too, my husband, I would say he's a great salesman, but he's not really selling anything. He's just very knowledgeable. He knows his stuff. And so when he meets with customers or clients, he's educated, he's a good roofer, and he's going to do a good job. So it just sells itself, And so that's kind of like how our company has grown so much. I think a lot of it has just been our reputation because we really care about our customers and we do a good job, and we care about doing a good job, just like any good business owner would.
Yeah.
What's the team at now? How many people are with you?
So we have approximately 50.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is really big.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit more about what the growing pains were like. What were some of the challenges that you faced in growing that team along the way, and some lessons you've learned from those?
So, as a business owner, you got to make those tough decisions. It's been really tough. A lot of times, it's not easy doing the firing and the hiring and making those decisions and finding the right fit. In the beginning, that was really tough. We were going through a lot of different employees, and it just wasn't sticking. Like we're looking for some lifers.
Yeah,
and just dependable ones, and that that install roofs to our standard and how we want it.
Hardworking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that took some time, and we have those now. We have some lifers with us, and that's really great, to have that. But that transition period is very important, because if you're constantly having new employees, then the customers are not getting the same product, And so being able to supply the same product. And in the beginning, my husband was on the roofs, so he was making sure everything was exactly how he wanted it, He's a little older now, so he likes to do the sales more. But like I said, he'll get on the roof if he needs to.
But when you have a trusted team that you feel confident is delivering the job properly, then you don't have to be the one always on the roof anymore. That's a great place to be. Yeah,
and it's the same with me in the office, So a lot of our growing pains have been getting bigger, So like when one of the hailstorms hit, there was a point I had dry erase boards and everywhere in my office.
For Colleen.
Yeah, the teacher, and my girls are erasing these names and rewriting everything and moving it. I was like, oh my God, we're wasting so much time. Like, what are we doing? You know?
It's called Excel, Colleen.
Yes. I went to Google Docs. I am now on Google Docs. We have big screens in the office. So I have transitioned into the computer world. So, but it took a minute, you know, and for me, it was like, okay, this isn't working. My business is outgrowing me. You know, what can I do to fix it? You know, and there's been so many times where like the business will get bigger than I see. It's like ahead of me almost. And I was like, okay, I have to catch up.
Yeah.
You know, else my communication's going to fall. Something's going to go by the wayside with my customers, which is exactly what I don't want.
What are the indicators for that? When do you start feeling those pains?
So typically when there's a lot of problems and you know, like a lot of it is management and organization, you know, and again, like I've had the same office staff for a couple years now.
Oh, wow.
And thank God for them. But before them, when it was changing a lot, you could tell because stuff would get overlooked or people haven't been trained properly or they're just not used to the job description. And so when you're retraining people over and over and over, it just shows in the company. But when you have those people that have been, you know, with you for a long time, they know what the expectations are. And so then if you're starting to have problems, you got to look within, like, okay, what can I fix? You know, and a lot of it has been the organization, you know, just what can we do to make this more efficient?
Right.
You know, because the roofers, they know their stuff. They're doing the same thing every day. The installation, they do great, you know. But a lot of it is more about the communication with the customers. Like, are our customers happy? Are we keeping them in the loop? You know, did we forget to tell them their metal is going to be delivered with a semi-truck tomorrow? You know, and those type of things, you know, as we would develop like the Google Docs, we would have our Excel list and all of those things. And then we went and we got, you know, Jobber and a company cam where we have photos and a lot of stuff. Like the apps on the phone have been key to helping us. You know, like my phone had probably 25,000 pictures in it. And it's like, Colleen, there's an app for this. You know, I didn't know, you know.
What is this app? What are you talking about?
It's called Company Cam. So it's an app and it starts with my salesmen. So they'll go and they put all the photos for the roof in there. Then if we need to do like a hail report, we can produce reports off of it. Then my roofer will go and he'll put all his photos in there if we need to send them for the permitting office. So everything is in one place and everybody can install photos on there. They're time-stamped. It's a lifesaver.
And they're pinned with each location too.
Pinned
so
with the
you can
location.
add to the location photos. Yeah.
So the littlest things like that with technology have been huge in
streamlining.
In helping the business. Which for me, coming from a teacher background, I don't know about Company Cam, you know, so, and I didn't know anything about marketing either, you know, that was another big thing that we overcame was, you know, everyone's like, oh, you have a great reputation, but I can't find you anywhere online.
Oh, when they would search roofing companies?
Yeah, so I didn't even realize it, and I was still teaching at the time, and I was like, that's a problem, you know, so immediately I didn't even have a Google page. I mean, this was in the very beginning, but still, I didn't realize how important it was, and it was just starting to get really popular. And so from that moment on, I made it my life mission to be on Google, to be up on the top, and it took me a long time because I would get with a company, and I didn't know anything about SEO at the time, and they weren't SEO, so I was like, still not getting on the first page. I was like, I don't
You're talking
understand.
about getting with digital marketing companies?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So you tried to hire out for this.
Yeah, and I was like, why is this not working? You know? And then I finally found the right company that does everything, and then, you know, the rest is history. And I just didn't know. You know, nobody told me all of these things, you know, but it was a big learning curve.
About this entrepreneurial journey, there's no template.
No.
We are just making it up
Winging
as we
it.
go.
You just don't know what you don't
Fingers
know.
crossed.
Yeah, trying new things. So when you do start feeling, that, okay, it's time to reassess, look at our procedures, what are the steps that you take? What do you do in that situation? Do you call a team meeting?
Exactly. Yeah. That's the very first thing I would do is call a team meeting. I'd bring in my office manager first, get a list together, then have a team meeting, assign like, okay, this is going to be what you're going to be handling. And we've done that. We'll do that every quarter or so, because people get comfortable, or it'll get slow and then they get, I forgot I was supposed to do that or this. And so let's just go over everything again, make sure everybody knows what the expectations are. So, and like I said, my girls, they've been with me a long time. So they pretty much know, and they're probably like, oh, Colleen wants to have another dumb meeting,
But it helps.
Yeah, it does
Those
help.
check-ins help.
Yeah, it helps. And, also we have like trailer runners and they bring like materials and stuff. So they will do their own meetings. And then we have like OSHA meetings and stuff. And we'll do those at the job site with the crews. So, I've always had confidence in my employees. I have fantastic employees. Without them, none of this would be possible. And they're phenomenal. And so that helps a lot. Like I know when I bring something to their attention, they're going to do it. I don't question that, of course I have my set, my lifers, I like to call them, that I know I can depend on and they will take it back and make sure that it gets
Your
done.
ride or die crew.
Yeah. And that changes sometimes too. And it's unfortunate, but that's just part of business as well. And then you hire one and then they don't come in or they come in for a day. And on the marine side has been tough.
Really?
Real tough. And it's tough conditions out there. They're on the water and it's not always what they thought it was going to be, But he has a good crew now. But there's always like the one missing link that we keep trying to fill, that it's just like,
And
you
it's a
just
moving
can't
target, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we got this. Oh, now we
Yeah.
fill
Right
it
as
over
soon
here.
as you think you found somebody, it's like, oh, open up Indeed again, Good old Indeed.
Do you feel like change has gotten easier over time versus
Yes.
when you were first?
Yes. I am a people pleaser and a perfectionist, and so I want to make everybody happy, and that would wear on me, not being able to make everybody happy. And even with the customers, sometimes it can be tough, even if you do your best and, you try everything to make it okay. And that part would be really tough. So my skin's got a little tougher, with the company, with the employees, and with customers too. I can hold my ground a little bit better. I have a little more confidence in myself.
Yeah.
I know that I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Where, so with teaching, I was very confident. And so it took me a while with roofing, but I'm very confident now in what we do, and I'm confident in my staff. That they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
So I'll go to bat for them any day, but they make mistakes too. We all do. So
what are some lessons or what is some advice that you would want to share with other founders that you've learned that you wish you knew sooner?
Some advice I would give is always put your customers first. It's not about the problems necessarily, it's what you do to solve them. You will have problems, but it's about communicating with your customers, trying to fix the problems, do whatever you can to make it right, because that will go a long ways. They're not going to remember necessarily that, oh, you had a leak. They're going to remember that you were there within a day and you fixed it immediately and you took care of it. And I think that's really, really important. Our customer satisfaction, I think, is why we have grown the way we have, is because, we do good work, and if something needs to be addressed, we will address it, and we communicate. And I think that's huge in this industry. So many times I think people avoid and don't or maybe they just don't know how to solve the problem. Luckily, I have my husband, and he can look at a picture and tell you immediately what to do. You know, it's pretty impressive that, you know, a lot of times, like with leaks, and they'll have somebody come out 4 or 5 times and can't fix a leak. He'll go out and he'll be like, I know what's wrong, you know?
Yeah.
And so that helps a lot. But it's definitely about your customers and how you treat them, because they are your business.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it's very, very important. And then as a boss, you know, I really try hard to, you know, make my employees feel like family, put them first, you know, and they are my family. I'm having everybody over for Thanksgiving. We do a holiday party. You know, like I don't want any of them like not to have a place to go, and so we're very close.
People are going over to your house.
They won't come. They won't all come, but they're invited. You know, because it's important. You know, and I want them to feel like they're a part of a family, and I think they do.
Yeah.
You know, we really try to make sure that they know we care when we're there for them, and. We've had quite a few employees, you know, we've helped them get cars, get in a house. You know, I mean, let's face it, roofers, you know, sometimes they're a little rough around the edges, but, you know, they're just shiny pearls, just ready to shine, you know, so.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I have found a lot of joy in that, you know, watching my employees, some of them, you know, they'll come from tough beginnings, and watching them grow is really nice to see too. So I think it's important how you treat your employees as well, you know, which would be another thing of advice, you know. Don't loan them money. But
that's a good one.
I don't do that anymore. Yes. I'm like, no, me and Dave have a no policy. We don't loan money anymore, but we'll help you in any way we can, you know. But
I heard something, a phrase like, if you're going to loan money, don't ever expect it back.
Exactly.
Or something
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about the power of support and community. And you tell us how you met WeVenture and your experience, because I know you got connected with them through one of the events.
Yes. So I actually went to lunch with Christy. She was getting sponsors for WeVenture, and this was a couple years ago, and I had never heard of WeVenture. And I'm very big on participating in the community. I do a lot with the schools. I like to participate in like all the races because I'm a runner. It's important for me to give back to the community. So I'm always looking for new avenues. And Chrissy is like, oh, you would really, like, this is a great fit for you. This is, you know, they do Wine, Women, and Shoes every year. And she had her little flyer, and I was like, oh, I never heard of this, you know, and I looked it up, and I right away I signed up. I was like, oh, I definitely want to be a part of this. Anything that is women, kids, or animals, I want to participate in, you know.
Yes.
Like you'll probably get a yes from me if it's one of those things. So I decided to do that. So I went to my first Wine, Women, and Shoes event, and we were the photo booth sponsor, and
awesome.
I think it was Catherine. She had reached out to me, and I did it the next year. And then when she was reaching out to me, I don't know if we were pregnant or my daughter. I think we were pregnant with my daughter, and I had told her, you know, kind of about my story and the IVF and stuff. And so it was really nice to like now have a connection, you know, and with women. And then I also found the Women Rock. They do the monthly luncheon. And so just by the one lunch with another woman, you know, I ended up at Wine, Women, and Shoes. And then, you know, and I've been to a few other events. One of their awards that they gave, award show last year, I think, that was for women. It was another luncheon. And so I've really enjoyed, you know, there's not, it's hard to find a lot of women business owners. And we tend to kind of do our own thing at times, you know.
It's almost isolating at some parts of, you know, the season of our entrepreneurship.
So it's been really nice to like connect with other women.
Yeah.
I'm in a male-dominated field,
Yeah.
so I'm dealing with
More
men.
so, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I was with teaching too because I was coaching in physical education. So it's been really nice for me, a little different,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed it, and I really wish that I would have found WeVenture sooner.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
At what
Same.
point in your career do you wish that they had come into your life? Where do you think they could have really helped?
In the beginning, for sure. Yeah,
Making
definitely.
that transition into
Yeah,
this field?
yeah. I think they could have saved me some time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
and the initial onboarding
Yes.
process.
Yeah.
I have a friend that is doing the classes with WeVenture. She has a cleaning business, and I brought her to Wine, Women, and Shoes, and she ended up signing up, and she's doing like a grant or something and doing the
Oh, I
classes
love
with
it.
WeVenture. And she's telling me all the stuff that she's been doing and learning. And so I was like, man, I wish I would have known I could have done that,
What an
you know?
incredible resource.
Yeah.
And people
Yeah.
have no idea that
Yeah.
a lot of it, that business coaching is free.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's free to ask any question. Which
Yeah.
is, like sometimes we just need to ask a few intelligent
Yeah,
questions
just
or
ask.
have someone ask us a few things so that we can get clear on
Yep.
on different things. But yeah, they really have some customized programs that will wrap around individual businesses. And because it's federally funded, it's actually a service that really tailors to small businesses.
Yep.
And it's not, they actually want us to be independent and succeed. So they're going to give us all really honest feedback.
Yeah. And well, she had come to me, my friend that is doing the business classes, for like financial and accounting advice.
Yeah.
And so that would have been a big help,
Yeah.
you know, because in the beginning, like I didn't even know what QuickBooks was. I don't use QuickBooks now. I use something else, but that is a
Yeah.
huge learning curve.
Yeah.
You know, once you get past 4 or 5 employees, you have to do something.
Yeah, you have to figure out payroll.
And it's complicated, and it's like you get spread so thin. It's like, okay, I don't think I can fit another thing on my plate, and I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
You know, and having somebody teach you, and oh, well, there's a program for this, or you know, there's an app for this. Like that's a big help.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Like there's a few other guests who have shared, like they actually joined one of the programs and the mentors wrapped around them, customized their QuickBooks,
Wow.
worked with them to teach them
Side by side.
for their business. It's like I have
Yeah.
never heard of such support.
Yeah.
Where you can go
Maybe
to a
I
class.
still should
Yeah,
do it.
maybe. Because they look at it, really applies to your business. They'll spend 4 hours once a month, I think it is, in the Ignite 360 and really dive in, and it's all about your business. So
Yeah.
We've talked to
That's a
other
huge
guests
help.
for this podcast that have gone to WeVenture multiple times at different stages in their growth.
Yeah.
For SOPs and for staffing challenges and even for exit strategies. And different levels of growth too, or legal for partnerships, for expansions, and
They're like business therapists.
Yeah. Which is huge.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times you just don't know where to turn.
and that's the thing. They said, you know, they're in a position where they can be there when things aren't going well. In all confidentiality, you can go to them and share what's really happening and be able to get some really solid advice.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want to burden other people with your problems too,
Yeah.
but they get paid to do that.
Yeah.
To be burdened.
So it seems okay.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, you might just be going through something you don't necessarily want to, you know, spread that out to the world. So it's kind of like, how can I solve this without making it a bigger problem?
And a lot of times it's, you know, just an easy solution that you just can't see or you just don't know, which is very helpful. And just like I said, it's not about the problem, it's how you solve it.
Yes, how do you
They've seen
solve it?
hundreds of different scenarios, whereas we are living it for the first time maybe, but they've seen it all across all industries.
Yeah. Well, you gave some really strong advice, and what I love about what you've shared is that your core values within your family, you and your husband, it really shows up in how you run the business and how you take care of your staff. And the fact that you have lifers is a testament to that commitment you've made to not just delivering to your customers that strong follow-up, we're going to be here till it's right type of scenario. It sounds like you really support your team, and that's amazing. And we need more role models like this. So thank you for sharing all of that with us.
Thank you for having me.
Colleen, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Her Story podcast, brought to you by We Venture Women's Business Center, a program of the Florida Tech Fisk College of Business, in partnership with our wonderful sponsors. Together, we are building a thriving and diverse small business ecosystem that enriches our entire community. At We Venture, we offer free business coaching, low and no-cost business education, mentorship, and leadership development programs to help you confidently launch and grow your business. Visit weventure.fit.edu to schedule your first free coaching session or learn more about our programs and services. No matter where you are on your entrepreneurial journey, you don't have to build alone. We Venture WBC would be honored to be a part of your success story.